Hello, this is Sierra and welcome to another video. Today we are reading chapter 37 of Hermitcraft Mayhem, a Minecraft-inspired fanfiction where I put all the Minecraft YouTubers that I enjoy watching into a Minecraft universe. Well, obviously, to see what happens. And in this case, we are focusing on the Hermitcraft folks over there, the hermits, and seeing what things they get up to. Yeah, we are in the midst of a intense battle, clone battle, thanks to certain somebody having access to Steffi's clone machine and thus cloning an army and sending the army after the hermits. Yeah, and so they're off to help the rescue party, and let's get right into the video. Captions are available if you're interested. Don't have to though, but they are there. Pearl glided over the wall, landing on the damp grass that separated the fortress and the forest beyond. The others landed beside her: Scar, Clara, Skiz, and Caleb. Joel had begrudgingly stayed at the fortress to guard it, in case the army of men decided to attack the base again. Pearl tried to shake the thought of her friends getting ambushed again. They were already recovering from the last attack hours ago. Could they handle another? Which way? Skiz demanded, his piercing blue eyes like bullets streaking into the shadows of the trees. Very few torches lit their surroundings. Pearl could hear the distant rustling of the bushes, snapping of twigs as critters moved about. Were they critters? Scar, force field, just to be safe, Clara warned. Scar nodded, pressing one single button as he pushed his chair forward. They're over there, about a mile or two from us, Scar replied. At least that's what I got from the firework. Should we fly over? Caleb asked. And leave Scar behind? Pearl glanced over his shoulder. Right, of course, Caleb muttered. Scar chuckled. I'd still be a big target either way, with any helicopters nearby. I don't hear any at the moment, do you? Clara frowned, looking up at the sky, past the golden dome that surrounded the small group. Would they risk flying choppers this close, hoping we wouldn't notice? Scar pondered as Pearl jogged aside, her eyes tracking the wilderness around them. There were no signs of the army that her friend had mentioned. B-Dubs, Impulse, and Green were out there somewhere, being hunted by Conifer's men for Gerald's twisted gain. How much time did they have? Was it already too late? Pearl shook the questions out of her mind as she followed Scar's lead. Slowly but surely, she caught the distant sound of footsteps. Lots of footsteps. Sounds like B-Dubs and the others are holding their own pretty well, Clara noted, just as several dark shadows dashed past them. The group followed in the direction where the shadows were headed. They managed to slip away once or twice, Scar replied. It's hard to run when you're carrying bodies. Pearl shuddered. Are Impulse and Green okay? They're alive, so that has to come something, Skiz said simply. You can feel it? Clara asked curiously. I feel despair and guilt, Skiz reported, keeping his gaze straight ahead. Guilt? What for? Pearl asked. Beats me, Skiz sighed. It seems to be part of the image that keeps popping into my head. Image? Clara raised an eyebrow. You saw it too? Scar whipped his head around towards Skiz. The one with Impulse and Green? The one that doesn't make the slightest bit of sense, Skiz snapped bitterly. Scar nodded, his expression grim. What are you two talking about? Pearl asked, forcing herself to look ahead. I'm wondering the same thing, Caleb admitted. I woke up finding Scar trying to sneak out of bed after a nightmare. Apparently the nightmare finds us. Scar giggled nervously. Yeah, it's weird how that works, isn't it? It's hard to explain, Skiz admitted, slipping behind a tree as Pearl did the same, as four more men in black ran past them. Either the enemy was outmatched or they'd been ordered to retreat. A pit of dread sunk deep into her stomach. She watched the men leave. The fight's still going strong, right? Pearl asked, Scar warily. It's a chase now. The enemy is trying to cut them off. They were able to sneak away with whatever remaining invisibility potions they had, but arrows are dwindling. Gas blasters? Clara pressed. Too much of a giveaway, Scar shook his head. They're heading our way. Good. We can join the fray and get them home, Skiz stated matter-of-factly. I've had enough of these jerks trying to hunt down and hurt my buddy. We'll stop them, Pearl said cheerfully, pushing a branch out of her way as she continued through the trees. Scar whirling ahead, the force field still covering the group. I'm surprised we haven't been intercepted yet, Caleb noted. We're like a beacon. Gerald doesn't care about us, Scar said bitterly. He wants to get his toys back. Well, he's going to have to get through us to get them, Skiz demanded. And we're almost there. I can hear them. Pearl scanned the tree line once again, trying to distinguish the snapping twigs and footsteps. Amid those sounds, she could hear shouting and hollering. Were they from her friends or her enemies? Sure, Sam and Julius were excellent fighters, but were they that good at fighting off an army? Come on, Pearl challenged, turning her jog into a dash as she followed the sounds, almost keeping in pace with the speeding wheelchair as the hermit pulled out of a gas blaster. Get ready to clear the way. I'll expand the force field to cover them, Scar commanded, thrusting forward as they spotted flashes of golden light. Occasional dazzle of blue or purple fireworks. That's an odd choice, Caleb mused curiously. They don't want to be seen, Clara guessed. Then why not use black or gray? Wouldn't that mask what they're doing? Clara shrugged, pulling out her own gas blaster. Maybe you should try to ask them if you get a chance. I will, Caleb smirked. Pearl spotted Scar slowing down his chair as the voices grew louder. I see them. They're over there. They're getting away. Stop them. Fire! Fire! Break the shield! Pearl squinted, spotting a golden dome of light in the distance. Their friends had just put up their force field. Beat up the signaling where they are, Scar shouted over his shoulder as he fired into the darkness of night. The light disappeared in the darkness. Pearl didn't have to be told twice as she pulled out her sword. That doesn't make sense. Be told twice. Ready? To tear anyone who dared get in the way. Tear down anyone who got in the way. Either one works. Doubled up, we're coming! Skiz yelled over the shouts of men. I don't think he can hear you, Scar called back, just as a half a dozen men stepped in front of them, Scar's chair screeching to a halt as the others slowed. You always seem to want to get in our way, don't you? One of the men asked. Pearl could see his face. In fact, all of them wore masks. Couldn't see his face. I'm sorry. Pearl couldn't see his face. In fact, all of them wore masks. Were they clones? She presumed they were, but why hide their identities when everyone here already knew about the clone machine? Who were they hiding from? You keep going after our friends, Scar said defiantly. Pearl stood at his side, lifting her sword for the men to see. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever. I might be confused. Whatever. There's not much to do for them. Much you can do for them, the man chuckled. Once we have them rounded up, you'll probably be next. For what? Your leader's cruel experiments? Pearl raised an eyebrow. The man shrugged. Something like that. His dark eyes moved to Scar. Gerald asked me to give you one last thing. As a reminder. Pearl heard Scar's audible gulp, but his weapon was still held high, aimed at the men. Maybe I'll let you watch as we finish them off. The man smiled, his white teeth glinting off the golden light of the dome. If they ever survive their punishments first. What's Gerald planning to do? Skid asked, anger seeping into his voice like venom. The man said, I'm only here to follow orders. Since you're here, I can't let you rescue your friends. Not sure you stand much of a chance here, Caleb said with a shrug. 3 power YouTubers and 2 protectors against what, 6 of you? All it takes is one button press. Isn't that how the older James brother put it? The man tilted his head. It's almost too easy. You know we could do the same thing, right? Pearl asked. Send in the cavalry. Can you deal with all of us? With our army? Probably, the man snorted. You seem confident. As a matter of fact, I do. Great. We have something to shatter. Pearl narrowed her eyes as 3 gas blasters ignited, shooting at the 6 men. The men scattered and the golden fireballs flew through the force field. That shield can't protect you forever, one of the men shouted. Just like it can't protect your friends, no matter how much you want it to. What are you gonna do then? Skid asked. Do it, Gerald? Is that what it's called? The first man asked, sounding intrigued. That's not a bad idea, actually. Pearl and Scar yelped as in unison as 6 masked faces pressed against the force field. The forest filled with screaming. It took Pearl a moment to realize that the screams were just coming from those men. They have a way to communicate with each other. They're trying to brute force the shield, Pearl shouted, charging forward as she sliced cleanly through one of the men. He collapsed into a pile of dust at her feet. She swung around and stabbed a second soldier in the gut. Just go, Scar shouted. Forget the force field and help the others. Get them out of here. I'm not leaving you, Caleb said firmly. Neither am I, Pearl said simply, chopping a third man who tried to dodge her. Claire, Skiz, you go ahead. We'll be right behind you. Sure, Pearly Pop. Concern filled his eyes for a moment. Pearl met his gaze. Your best friend needs you. Get him out of here. Skiz nodded, charging his way through the force field with a holler she'd never heard come out of anyone before. Clara was at his heels a moment later, hesitant for only a second before going after her charge. Don't let them get through, one of the men shouted, vanishing from the force field. Pearl spotted him charging after her 2 friends. Please be careful. Pearl swallowed back her uncertainty. She wouldn't stop fighting until she knew her friends were safe. I've sent a worldwide signal. Scar broke through her thoughts, bringing her back to the moment. Help is on the way. Will it be enough? Caleb asked. It's going to have to be, Scar whispered. I can't see how else we're going to get out of this alive. We will, Pearl said firmly. The Scar shot one of the last men with a fireball, sending him hurtling into the darkness. We're not going to let them win. Are you? A cold voice from behind her. Voice said from behind her. Her blood froze. She saw the color drain from Scar's face. She tightened her grip on her blade, turning around. Just mere feet from the force field was Gerald. Just one Gerald, however. 24 of them, each with their arms crossed, and a similarly hungry look in their eyes. And what makes you think I'm going to let you get away with that? What do you want? Caleb demanded, stepping in front of Scar protectively. The hermit hadn't moved to turn around, just frozen in place. The only hint of movement was the tremor of the weapon in his hand. You know what I want. The center Gerald narrowed his eyes. For Too long you've escaped from your fate. Too long you keep foiling my plans and getting in my way. Not going to let it happen again. You have to get through the force field first, Caleb warned. We've done it before, Gerald sneered. That's when the other Geralds charged directly into the force field, pressing their hands and faces into the light, groaning in agony or gritting their teeth. Your protection can't stop me forever. Just like justice comes to everyone, eventually. Scar let out Tanya's whimper beside her. Pearl looked down. Seeing her friend's eyes squeezed shut, she lowered her sword and knelt in front of him. Scar? This can't be happening. Scar spoke in a shaky whisper. Pearl took his hand, pulling the weapon from his grip. You can beat him, Pearl said firmly. But it can only hurt you if you let him, Pearl insisted. This isn't a dream. This is real, Pearl. Scar opened his eyes, which were now full of tears. This is real. There's too many of them. How many zombie wars have we had to fight? Pearl leaned in. How many times have these men charged into your safe place and taken from you? What's the one thing they have never taken? Gerald, our friends need us right now, Pearl said simply, hearing the cracking of the force field around them. She didn't want to look up to see how close the Geralds were. Half of them are down, Kayla reported. Whatever upgrades Luke did are definitely helping. Good. Now try to keep them back, Pearl said quickly. She caught Caleb's nod as the boy held up his gas blaster, firing at the dwindling number of Geralds. She turned her attention to Scar. You're right. This is real. But this is the dream world. He can't drag you away from us. We're not going to let him get any more close to you. Or any of us. I don't know if I can. You can, and you will, Pearl replied, offering the gas blaster she held in her hand. Shoot far and true, hot guy. I know you can. Scar swallowed and nodded, following Pearl's movement as she rose, taking the weapon. I'm not going to let them down. They did the same for me. For family. Pearl flashed a smile. For family. Scar grinned, just as the force field flickered once, twice, before going out. There, that wasn't so hard, was it? Gerald asked. Pearl looked up, seeing the man was now standing amongst a pile of items scattered on the ground. Did you just stick your clones on us? Pearl raised an eyebrow. Matter of fact, I did. The man's smile widened, pulling something out of his pocket. Scar, careful! Pearl warned as she took a step back. Hermit whirled around in his chair, firing his gas blaster at Gerald. But the man was gone. Where is he? Scar asked nervously. Caleb inched closer to his charge, his weapon ready to strike. I'm exactly where I need to be. It just refreshed. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. It didn't take that long, but I didn't want to keep you waiting. So, let's go. Try this again. I'm exactly where I need to be, a voice said from above. Pearl looked up, spotting Gerald sitting nonchalantly above them on a tree branch before pouncing towards Scar. Pearl shoved the hermit's wheelchair out of the way, the other hermit yelping in surprise. Well, technically he is older, so... Stay away from him, Caleb warned with a growl, firing another fireball at Gerald, who sidestepped out of the way as if it was nothing. You can't protect him any more than you can protect anyone, Gerald said coldly, just as a red flash set Pearl hurtling backwards, her sword flying out of her hand. No! Scar screamed. Caleb! Relax. You live, another voice said smoothly. In the darkness, Pearl groaned, looking up, her eyes widening as she saw Caleb crumpled on the ground, his back covered in burns, a direct hit from a firework. Unless Gerald has something else in mind. You'll be dealing with enough of the days after I'm done, Gerald said calmly, stepping into view. Pearl's blood froze as she saw the man standing in front of Scar, separating her from her friend. Scar held his weapon, shaking hands, looking between the men and Caleb. It'd be a shame if you had to lose yet another protector. Though, what enhance? Gerald tilted his head, curiously. Pearl slowly sat up, yelping as a firework exploded over her head. Don't move, YouTuber, or you're next, the new voice growled. Leave my friends alone, Scar said defiantly, tightening his grip on his weapon. You know I'm not afraid to shoot. Oh, I know, Gerald said calmly. But I don't think you will if you want your friends here to get out of this alive. Scar! Pearl shouted, watching helplessly as Gerald approached her friend. Even if she could get her gas blaster out in time to shoot, it wouldn't stop the man hidden in the trees from firing. What if he decided to shoot at one of her friends? Could Caleb handle more than one direct hit? Pearl closed her eyes, trying to steady her racing heart. To get to this, they had to. Lower your weapon, Good Times, and I just might let these two go. You're not. We're not leaving you, Pearl insisted. I'm not leaving you. A flash of blue hurtled toward her as the hermit ducked, gasping in pain as the blast of a firework pricked her back and arms. There was a hint of smoke on her clothing. No! Scar cried again. This time it sounded different. Pearl looked up, noticing a blast of golden light fly overhead and a body on the other end as it collided with a nearby tree. Pearl scrambled to sit up, ignoring her body's screams of protest. She saw the shadowed form of a man. Gerald. He wasn't moving, but his body was ablaze with golden flame. A scream filled her ears as Pearl turned in time to see another firework strike Scar from the right, the force causing his chair to fly into a tree before collapsing into a heap on the ground. Make another move, the voice of the second man challenged as he stepped out into view. He was tall, probably a few inches taller than Gerald at least. He was thin and lanky, his masked face almost gaunt in appearance. And it's over. Stay away from him, Pearl hissed, reaching her hand into her pocket, not caring if the man was aiming another crossbow at her. How many more fireworks did he have? Didn't matter. She wasn't going to let him win. Gerald's orders, the man sneered. I didn't hear him say, Pearl pointed out. It's because I didn't get it from that one. He aimed the crossbow at the motionless figure of Gerald and fired. Pearl gasped as Gerald's body exploded before disappearing into dust. He's learned a trick or two from Archie. I see, Pearl said sourly. So you're here to finish the job. Precisely, the man said brightly, picking up the vial and gas blaster Scar had dropped, pocketing his own weapon. Scar was groaning in pain, struggling to free himself from the metal trap the chair had now become. It's not the worst job I've been asked to do. At least I do them right. Right, Pearl repeated with a grunt, lifting her arm, now holding her gas blaster in hand. I'll believe it when I see it. She fired. The ball of light hitting the man as he flew backward, hitting the earth as the fire consumed him until there was nothing left but ashes and floating items. Pearl scrambled to her feet, running to Scar's side as she unstrapped the Velcro that held him put, practically dragging him out. Scar's face was soaked with tears as he pulled her into a hug. It's okay. You're okay, Pearl said gently, scanning the darkness for any sign of more trouble. Were there more Gerald clones out there? No, Scar whispered hoarsely through sobs. They just keep coming. We have to find the time machine and destroy it, Pearl said simply. Scar nodded weakly. The others, Scar moaned, wincing in pain as Pearl pulled away. They can't run forever. Our impulse and Green safe? She impressed. Scar smiled. Yes, they got them out. Good. Pearl nodded. We can work with that. Julius, Sam, and B-Dubs are still out there. Scar insisted. Do you think the others? They will. Pearl squeezed her friend's shoulder. Believe me, they will. Scar grunted as he sat up, his eyes trailing over toward Caleb, a cloud shrouding his features. Why do these men have no hesitation to hurt children? I don't know. Pearl sighed, getting to her feet. But we should get back. Joel might need our help, once these jerks find out where their toys are. Scar chuckled softly as Pearl righted the wheelchair, readjusting it until it was good as new, or as good as it could be. She wheeled it over to where Scar was sitting. She helped him in. Ready to kick some butt, huh, guy? Pearl asked. Scar grinned. I was born ready. And there we go. That's going to be the end of this episode. Chapter 37 was a little bit longer, but totally worth it. Next we'll be peeking in to see what beat-ups do it. And yeah, chapter 39 will be after that, and then chapter 40. And hopefully my cough gets better, but we'll see. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This wasn't too bad, but yeah. Gotta do what I gotta do. We're not pushing more than one recording session at a time, so. Yep, that's just how I'm gonna have to do it for a while. Yeah. Fortunately, these things are pretty easy to record, so it's not that big a deal. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another one, next one, whenever that might be. Goodbye.